Welcome to CBTS Tech Talk. I'm the producer, Lance Hart. Today, we're going to talk about how to safeguard your inbox, the evolution of email security. And if we're stuck with email, we might as well make it secure, right? So I'm going to hand it over to my buddy Justin Rice, Vice President of Solution Consulting. He's got special guests with us today, Chris Bernard, MSSP Sales Manager, Email Security, and Paul Welford, MSSP Lead Solution Architect. Justin, let's jump right in.
All right, Lance, as always, thank you. And guys, thank you for being here today. Like Lance said, we're going to talk about email security. I want to talk a little bit about what we're seeing in the industry, and then really talk about what Checkpoint is offering. For the listeners out there who have tuned into our TED Talks before, usually we try to keep this pretty agnostic, but with what Checkpoint is doing is we really believe revolutionizing the email security space. So I want to bring you guys in today and really talk through it. Before we get started, love to hear a little bit about who you are, where you came from, and Chris, we'll start with you.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We're excited to be here. As mentioned, MSSP Sales Manager for the email security product, formerly known as Avanan. So came in with the Avanan acquisition. Prior to that, had experience at an MSSP, so definitely can help share some value on what the solution has.
Very good, very good. Paul?
Absolutely, and Paul Welford here, MSP Email Security Engineer. Got a pretty heavy background in the email security world. Spent some time at a former secure email gateway, then landed in an architect job handling Microsoft, and then finally here with Checkpoint, and doing some pretty innovative stuff from an email security standpoint. So,
okay, well, welcome. You did mention Avanan, so let's start there. Tell me a little bit about what was Avanan, when was it, when did Checkpoint acquire Avanan? That's really the product that we're talking about today.
Yeah, for sure. So if you think about API-based email security, it's relatively new to a lot of customers, but Avanan as a company has been around since 2015.
Okay.
Really matured as an organization and product in the 2018 timeframe. Acquisition came in 2021. So that's when we began to work with a lot of the big strategic partners like the CBTS. Bringing this to market, but in that 2021 timeframe is really when we saw our maturity as an organization grow.
Okay, good. So 3 years now since acquisition, great. Email security has been around for a while, right? In different forms or iterations, email security has existed. Talk to me a little bit about what challenges our customers are facing today with email security.
Yeah, I'll take that one, Chris. Yeah, it's as you're saying, kind of our evolution there of an email security solution. It's interesting that for the longest time, nothing changed. It all kind of stayed the same. In the early 2000s was when around the time the first secure email gateways, those MX record-based solutions emerged. Yep. Nothing really changed, but the email world was changing. Everything was on-prem, then it was moving to the cloud, and started seeing these attack vectors pop up that these secure email gateways couldn't really protect against. So that's where that API-based email security world popped up, and really kind of revolutionized the integration process as well as that that management process.
Yep.
And then that efficacy rate behind the scenes gave us a lot more visibility into not just the email flow, but looking at users accessing mailboxes, the applications that are plugged into the cloud. So really kind of changed the world there.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. So it's changed over time. Enter Avanan in 2015. What was different about what you guys were bringing to market at the time?
Yeah, absolutely. So thinking about it again, from that integration standpoint, there was the pain point of just the integration process that secure email gateways were bringing to the table. So potential downtime when you plug it in. Okay, that's fine. You're back up and running, with Mailflow, right? And then there was the user management side of the world, LDAP synchronization, all that kind of stuff. A lot of overhead from a management standpoint there. But then you look at it as the capabilities of your management on policy sides, right? So talking about the ability to not only just watch the mail flow, but again, back to your end user activity on a day-to-day basis, drifting into the anomaly detection engines, which is kind of an aspect of what we brought to the table that gateways weren't really doing. They weren't watching just the access to the mailbox. So they would see these people pop up. They would create these mail flow rules, people being hackers. These hackers would pop up, create these mail flow rules. People, users would see things disappearing. Nobody could tell them why. Well, they got limited visibility. They're living outside the cloud. What we changed was living inside of the cloud. We're able to actually see that, get that level of visibility, from our integration.
We've been, even at CBTS, we believe in what we call eating our own dog food, right? Is making sure the things that we are positioning with our clients, whether that is a public cloud solution, a network solution, an email security solution, we want to consume that as part of our business. And part of the visibility and things that we've been informed upon now are like, wow, this is truly phenomenal. Before I go any further, I do want to clear up a couple of housekeeping items. I forgot this at the beginning. Ask questions. We do have a contest running. If you have a question, please put it into the chat. We are going to be giving away a pair of AirPod Maxes. Those are the ones that go over your ears. Lance has a really nice kind of spinning wheel thing that's going to go off at the end of this session. So please ask questions. You'll get entered into the drawing to get the AirPod Max. So anyway, let's keep going. So let's talk a little bit about, give me, maybe this can come to you, Chris, the elevator pitch for what Harmony Email Solution is.
Yeah, it's a cloud-native API-based technology. We live in the mail flow, so we're a true preventative-based email security solution. Fits really nicely in the whole ethos of Checkpoint. That's prevention first.
Prevention first. I like that. API-based, I think, is huge compared to where we were 5, 10, 15 years ago. API-based seems to be a game changer. Agree?
Absolutely.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about how the Harmony Email Solution, what you do around, what are your catch rates? How do you pay, how important is you guys, I guess, is Checkpoint paying attention to catch rates and really hanging your hat on that success?
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of goes into that integration conversation, that elevator pitch, if you will. You talk about the simplified, process that APIs bringing to the table, but there's also a lot more that goes into that from the API world. We kind of get looped in with a lot of other solutions out there that have this post-delivery approach, right? Mm-hmm. So they're essentially letting malicious content hit the mailbox, making an API call, pulling it out, and we kind of ad nauseum spend a lot of our day in these demos, running through the whole prevention, not detection conversation. And that goes into the fact that we live in Mailflow, right? And we're able to live in Mailflow because of how we deploy, and we're not utilizing those Microsoft, that Microsoft post-delivery analysis, graph API calls to pull things out of the mailbox. So we're able to kind of track a bit of a better efficacy rate, if you will. So 99.8% efficacy rate when you start talking about it. Nobody in the world is perfect. But at the end of the day, we were able to bring this to the table and prove this. How are we able to prove it? We're in the cloud. And that's a massive differentiator of what we're doing versus the other solutions out there today. When you're talking about a secure email gateway, they're sitting outside the cloud. They're in front of us. So say you don't have a problem. You may have a problem that you don't even know you have. So feel free to plug a solution like ours in and let it sit there silently. We're able to sit silently and rescan things that other solutions that are missing, right? Any clean mail, malicious mail, whatever. We can see those phishing messages, those malware messages, impersonation attacks, domain name manipulations. We're able to see all of those things, flag that stuff, and prove to end users these are our efficacy rates. So you're able to make a really intelligent decision when you're deciding whether to go with one of these other solutions versus what we're capable of doing in the market today. So
there's two things that are interesting there that you mentioned. The first thing is that you can sit silently and you're in the mail flow. I was in a meeting in our Columbus, Ohio office, called a couple months ago, and what was interesting to me was that it does seem to be additive to other solutions too. Like you're not necessarily saying I need to rip out another OEM's solution. I can be additive to this and really bolster your security posture.
Yep. Yeah, you can take that approach. Absolutely. We do integrate perfectly fine with other solutions out there, but I always like to kind of say that we aren't a supplement. We are a displacement. There's a lot of other solutions out there. Our competitors walk around, hey, let's supplement this, supplement that. But at the end of the day, we can supplement, but when you see those efficacy rates, it turns into more of a displacement conversation.
Because really where you're at from the efficacy rate perspective, you guys are, because where you sit in the mail flow, you are preventing zero-day attacks.
Yep, exactly.
You're sitting right there in the middle, and where other solutions may not be, you're more reactive, I guess, in that world.
Exactly. Prevention, not detection.
Yep, exactly right.
Yeah, a lot of customers actually reach out thinking they need a cloud-native tool to supplement what they're doing with a secure email gateway. We'll run the proof of concept, and then it becomes a consolidation story.
Okay. Well, we do have a question that came in. I'm going to go ahead and read it, and then you guys can pick who's going to answer it. With all of the problems of present-day emails, maybe it's time for a new, more secure email provider based solely on AI. Any thoughts on this?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's if Chris, if you want to kick it off.
You go ahead.
So a lot of people talk famously about our acquisition by Checkpoint and what that brought to the table. Great. Did they buy you guys just to add some license? Absolutely not. There was that efficacy, or that the fact that we're plugged in, we're prevention, not detection, and the Checkpoint ethos, we fit into that. But then on our side, what did we gain from it? And is that AI side of the world, right? Checkpoint has kind of their brains behind the solution, what they call Threat Cloud. And essentially the way Threat Cloud functions is it takes the technology or the signatures or the scans or all of these things that all these attacks that they see from their other platforms, like their firewall, CloudGuard, their endpoint management solutions, mobile device management solutions. Any attacks they see there, they dump into Threat Cloud.
Yep.
We're allowed to use that level of intelligence when we're scanning malicious content, specifically malware, talk about malware and how aggressive malware can be in the zero-day attacks on the malware side of the world. So malware message comes in, we go through a signature-based scan, but then it also hits our sandbox, goes through a zero-day scanning process. In that zero-day scanning process, it's also taking the intelligence from Threat Cloud, which is seeing what's the number that you see, the
6 billion verdicts a day, previously unknown malware.
No kidding. Wow.
Yep, and it updates. So every 2 seconds around the planet, if there's a new signature on the firewall side, 2 seconds, Threat Cloud updates. We are getting that level of intelligence.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, tell me about, so I think I'm clear on kind of the day-to-day value that clients receive. If I'm an IT administrator, what I'm going to receive from the solution. Tell me about, is there anything the end user, if I'm an end user, the value I'm going to see out of Harmony Email Solution? Yeah. Is it peace of mind?
Peace of mind, mailbox hygiene.
Yeah.
So you're looking at clean mail.
Clean mail. That's
the other thing, even taking it from the competitor standpoint, what these other API-based guys are doing and kind of convoluting the junk folder. The junk folder was built for marketing emails, right? The noise.
Yeah.
It's not malicious content. You should never see malicious content baked into your junk folder. So as an end user, you're not a security analyst. I'm not even a security analyst, right? I'm an architect. I build these things out, make sure everybody's comfortable, have a great day, right? So I'm not completely trained on this. However, our AI and machine learning is trained on these things and should be understanding as the message comes in, that's phishing. That should never enter my user's mailbox, whether it's the junk folder or the inbox. That should stay in a quarantine protecting our end users.
Good. Okay. I am going to have a few questions about AI here momentarily, but we do have another question that came through. Are there different levels of licensing for Harmony, or is it all inclusive for mail prevention?
Yeah, 3 SKUs, Protect, Advanced Protect, Complete Protect. We have SKUs for email only and email and collaboration security. So one thing we didn't touch on yet, we do protect those popular file share and collaboration applications like Teams.
Okay. Very good.
Also, that data loss prevention side of the fence is a pretty big grab in the email world. That comes with our top tier licensing. So data loss prevention, inbound and outbound, able to make sure that users are not only protected from the malicious content, but also protecting that intellectual property, personal information, things along those lines as well.
I was going to ask you about the completeness of the platform, and I think you really summed it up by saying in most cases we become a displacement for other solutions because you are that complete portfolio. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, single pane of glass. We get customers and partners coming to us looking for one thing, but what we provide is really a cloud security platform for email, everywhere from spam to malware, data loss prevention, as Paul baked in. We also have security engines for anomaly and business email compromise. Yeah. So really secure the user and organizations against the hackers.
Yeah, that anomaly detection thing, for me, from a security standpoint, like yes, phishing, malware, extremely important, making sure those worlds are, protected, but the logins, the anomaly detection engine, making sure users are accessing the mailboxes from places that they should, and then also those bulk forwarding rules, those bulk delete rules, that's unusual activity. And that kind of goes back to that machine learning aspect, those efficacy rates, how our phishing engine works. I mean, at the end of the day, our phishing engine's utilizing 300 plus indicators on what does it make that intelligent decision. And some of those indicators go into, the end user intelligence. How does the end user communicate on a day-to-day basis? What are those functions that they're doing? Standard conversations. What does the conversation look like? You and I could talk all day about security, but all of a sudden I'm talking to you about security and I throw in a random email about finance.
Yeah.
Maybe changing a bank routing number, or hey, change your password. Why am I asking you to change your password? I'm not help desk, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So
yeah. I think the anomaly detection is huge. I mean, listen, the threat actors are out there every single day. We're all getting some level of malicious activity every single day. What is the anomaly out there? And
yeah.
We have another question come through. How do you envision AI could be used to protect against malicious emails? I think you guys kind of have a story to tell here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is AI going back to Threat Cloud, what Threat Cloud's kind of doing behind the scenes there and how it's able to boost our efficacy rates. I mean, I think today there's 70 engines, AI engines that are baked into what we do and every judgment that we make. So that's the positive side of it, right? Everybody kind of beats up AI in the tech world now. It's like, it's going to take my job, or it's or it's only focused on building out malicious content. But there's another side to it, and that's where Threat Cloud's baked in.
Yeah, very good. Wow, we have a ton of questions coming through here. So, what is the data loss prevention strategy or solution on ground for difficult? what is the data loss prevention strategy or solution on ground for difficult to detect zero-day data attacks?
Yeah, I should probably re-edit those as they come in. Sorry about that, Justin.
No, it's all good. And no worries at all.
It's an interesting question. I mean, DLP from a 0-day perspective, because really data loss prevention, I mean, you're looking at your internal content, or even, from a HIPAA standpoint, grandma's social security number, she's haphazardly passing these things around to doctors. You want to block that stuff from entering into the environment, because that becomes, basically an issue there for the hospital. So 0-day attack on the DLP side. I mean, if whoever's asking that question can maybe expand a little bit, I'd be happy to.
No, all good. And we can follow up. If someone wants to elaborate, well, we can follow up here a little bit later. So I want to take a step back a little bit, and just for our users who may not be familiar with the evolution that we kind of started with, can you describe to me what the legacy gateway approach is, and then dig in a little bit deeper to how that's different from API-driven, kind of the future, what you guys are doing today?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, in the early 2000s, it emerged the third-party email security solutions, and they're all MX record based. So MX record, you could look at it as almost like, the mailbox in front of your house. Like, the mailman doesn't deliver the information directly to your door anymore. He drops it off at the mailbox at the yard, and then you go up there and you pick it up, right? So imagine that mailbox having a giant security system. Well, you got to route your traffic to that. So technically, you got to take down mail traffic to route it to that point before it gets to your house.
Yep.
So there's some potentials for some issues there. One of the big things there also gets into kind of the aspect of mail flow. So mail flowing directly into the house, directly out of the house, great. But what about that internal traffic as well? Your security is just sitting at the entrance of the house. Nobody's going to get inside and protect what's going on in there. So with the API approach, right, we can be up and running 7 clicks, 30 seconds. We can be silently in your environment, start monitoring messages. We can even index your users, your groups, your aliases, your distribution lists, all via an Azure Enterprise application or a Google application at that point that's installed in the cloud. Nothing directly on the end user's PCs or anything into Outlook. It's all
You're
cloud
not
monitored.
modifying DNS.
Nope, no DNS modifications required. It's all handled by that app. So essentially, at that point, we're able to be up and running and flowing. We can see all three flows of traffic. So inbound, outbound, and user-to-user communication. So kind of breaks down the differentiator there in the deployment process.
So you're obviously, you have a superior technology platform, but you also have this ease of adoption for people that listen, we're all going to get breached at some point. We're all going to click on an email that we shouldn't or whatever. It's going to happen to all of us. But for organizations that are concerned about that, from an email perspective, you guys have a really quick adoption practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And then even from, you kind of hit a nail on the head there. That's something we haven't really talked about yet either, is those malicious URLs. And then something else that's kind of made a re-emergence, if you will, is the QR code.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
QR codes has kind of been an interesting approach and something we kind of brought to the market when we originally deployed in line. We were able to rewrite QR codes, and there's a lot of other solutions out there that are kind of playing catch up from a QR code perspective. And it's like, it's an attack vector that's been around for quite some time, and now we're just seeing it. But for what we're able to do from being in line, like truly sitting in the mail flow, not detect mode. We're actually sitting in the mail flow. We're able to rewrite those URLs to make sure your users are ending up in a place that they should, and not a place that contains any malicious content.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. So let's talk about ideal customers for you all. Who is kind of the target market? Who do you like to talk to? Tell me about your customer base.
Yeah, anyone that's security conscious. So it's
Yeah.
a very scalable solution. We have customers from 1 user to hundreds of thousands of mailboxes.
Yeah.
Compliance-driven organizations for sure, but anyone security top of mind, anyone looking at cyber liability solutions, going to have a cyber liability insurance is going to have a lot of boxes to check, and we can check those boxes for them.
Okay, gotcha. Now, I want to put you on the spot here. I didn't prep you for this. Is there a particular customer use case you would like to share? And even if you don't want to say the customer name, that is totally fine.
Oh, that's a great question. We work with a lot of partners,
Yeah.
a lot of customers. Paul, any top of mind that you can think of we worked with recently?
I mean, one of my favorite conversations really to always have is the impersonation attacks.
Yeah.
Whenever you plug us in, because that's silent mode, right? There's the things you know, and then there's the things you don't know, and then there's the level of visibility from an admin standpoint that you get into some of these admin portals these days, and they're extremely convoluted, and there's all kinds of crazy stuff going around. But that's another thing we kind of took a leg up on, was really keeping a focused admin portal, and then talking about what types of attacks we're seeing and being able to go to our analytics dashboard and really define who are my targeted users, my top targeted users, and getting into some of the enterprise grade organizations. It's really easy to pick out, the CEOs, go to a website for CBTS, see who the CEO is, the CTO, the COO, all those people. But a lot of times people forget about those frontline employees. Like those are also a gateway into the environment.
Yeah, right.
And it's always eye-opening to see that those frontline employees are getting impersonated as well. So you can see that from the analytics dashboard and really make that.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And it was kind of a recent case of an impersonation attack and an admin on the call. And he was like, why is this person sitting there? This doesn't make any sense. They have no power. I was like, but yeah, that's the step in the door.
Yeah.
Now they're going to start moving laterally through the organization, sending those messages laterally through the organization. So you want that three-way filtering to make sure.
Interesting. So I did not pick up on until just now that impersonation attacks are part of the solution. So, we see that within our clients all the time where, I might get a message from a CEO or whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, I need you to do this, this, and this for me.
The famous Apple gift card.
Yeah, Apple gift card.
Scratch the back off. Send me those numbers real quick. What CEO is going to ask that question?
Yeah, exactly right. Interesting. That's a great use case.
Yeah, it all goes back to visibility. Those secure email gateways, those legacy approaches aren't cloud native.
Yep.
So being native to the cloud gives us complete visibility into the environment.
So what I've heard so far about cloud native is a strength. The visibility is a strength, and being API driven is a strength. It's really a differentiator between all of it.
Rooted in AI.
Rooted in AI.
That Threat Cloud. I probably stack Threat Cloud and then fall in line behind it.
Yeah, Threat Cloud. Very cool. Reminder, we have about 8 minutes left, maybe a little less depending on questions. If you have a question now, please get it out there. We'll continue to answer as they pop up to get entered into the drawing for the AirPod Pro Max. And those are the ones that go over your ears. What have we not touched on so far that you think is important to cover today?
I think we've hit the nail on the head with everything. I mean, from an application standpoint, I feel like a lot of the questions we get is, okay, cool, you plug into OneDrive, SharePoint, Teams, Box, Dropbox. What are you doing there, right? Looking for malware, malicious links, and then adding on that DLP to those as well. That's where the files live, right? That's where that special content is. Not always just from a direct email. Does something leak out? It's also in those files. People don't know what they don't know, right?
Yeah, right.
So DLP is important in that aspect. So it plugs in there. So the intellectual property side, keeping it safe within those file repositories, and then also that malware and link side of the world within those different SaaS applications is extremely important.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as a salesperson, I always like to call out, we can prove the value. So it's really one of the first times in the history of email security that we can actually prove what we're telling you. So you don't have to take our word for it. Salesperson, sales engineer, you can actually plug the solution in, as Paul said, no downtime.
That's why we at CBTS are interested in all of this, because we too like to sign up, hey, try us out. We are a managed service, a professional service, product resale organization. Yeah. And when we talk with our customers, we don't want to just talk and say, try it out. Try out the solution.
Absolutely.
And what you're saying is proof of concept, proof of value is certainly something you're hanging your hat on.
Yeah, like I said, 7 clicks, 30 seconds, you're up and running. There's also what we call a security checkup report that can be generated, and it's basically a executive summary of the entire solution. And depending on how long it's been in your environment, it'll give you a detailed breakdown. The phishing attacks that we blocked or would have blocked if we're in our silent mode. Basically, the other things that those solutions are missing. It's missing. Tells you it's a phishing attack. Okay, what type? Impersonation, social engineering, along those lines as well. Credential harvesting attacks, another big famous one.
Yeah.
Malware side of the world. What type of malware is trying to enter my organization? Then also looking at it from the 365 side of the world. One thing that we haven't mentioned, really, it's kind of funny we haven't mentioned it, but one of the hugest things that we've released recently is our integration with 365. A bit of a battle that the API industry has had with this world and being plugged into the cloud is Microsoft. Microsoft and Google kind of take their own onus.
Yeah,
they do their own filtering, right? So we kind of went back to the drawing board and was like, hey, we gotta pivot again, figure out something else here. Microsoft's got a massive issue with their false negatives. We're taking care of that. Let's talk about the admins. What about those false negatives, right? Things that aren't reaching the end users' inboxes. Microsoft has a huge issue with it, right? We love them. They do great things across the board. However, those false negatives for admins cause an issue. So we created recently and released what we call our unified quarantine. Basically visibility into both quarantines, simplifying the admin side of the world.
Oh, interesting. That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty cool, especially in that admin conversation, but also the end user side of the world, consolidating their digest as well. End users are getting that consolidated digest. They're not getting 2 digests from that side of the world. Yeah.
Yeah. So better security, better catch rates, and lower false positives.
Yeah.
So For an admin, saves a lot of time.
Right. Yeah, it's like a lifesaver.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Now, focus on your day job.
Exactly.
Yeah. We had a couple questions I think come through. This one is, I'm interested in a live demo of the product. Would that be possible to set up? I'll answer that. Absolutely. We go to market with Checkpoint as a provider, so collectively together we can do a live demo, and our Gabby, our marketing coordinator, setting all of this up, will be in contact. The next one I think was, it's not on there now, but someone mentioned that they were an Avanan customer for many years, and they're very happy with it for their Office 365. Is Harmony going to be the new name?
100%. Same technology, Avanan rebranding to Harmony Email and Collaboration.
Yep, Harmony Email and Collaboration. Very good. Okay, we have about 4 minutes left. Lance, do we have any other questions coming through? I'd like to, maybe we got one more coming through here.
Yeah, let me just ask that one. Does the AI engine make recommendations for configuration changes or best practices?
Yeah, that's actually a great question, and kind of the innovation of the framework, if you will, of Harmony Email and Collaboration, and the portal that it's baked into. It's called the Infinity Portal, which during your live demos and things like that, you'll get very familiar with the Infinity Portal and the access that it grants you to all of the Checkpoint solutions that everybody's kind of very familiar with here around the CBTS world. But we recently rolled out what we call Copilot, or the Security Copilot, and essentially it is going to provide some recommendations on security posture and what your policies look like, and kind of rolling from there.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's kind of a bit of a roadmap look there.
Yeah, is there any, before we get to the spin the wheel, is there any, or are there any other roadmap items that you're really excited about that you could talk about? If not, totally fine.
Yeah, don't get yourself in trouble.
I know, right? One I'd like to talk about is DMARC. DMARC is always a big conversation, especially with your admins who are hyper focused on mail flow, the reputation of your domain to third parties. So DMARC it's kind of it's an external security for the name of your domain. Some people might not even be familiar with it. So like CBTS.com, there's a lot of organizations that send on behalf of you guys, right?
Yeah, right.
Your marketing material and things like that. Well, what if there is an organization that's receiving that message and they're rejecting it because something in DNS is not configured properly? You didn't know about that. So we're currently in the early stages of our DMARC rollout right now. That 365 Unified Quarantine and the Unified Digest was just an absolute game changer. We really, really kind of changed the game for a lot of the API folks out there, because there's nobody else doing it. It's just us today.
That is one thing that I've recognized in my working with Checkpoint over the last number of years, is your innovation cycle is very quick. You guys are innovating at a very rapid rate. So as security evolves faster than most industries, you guys are right on top of it, which I certainly appreciate.
Yeah.
I want to wrap it up and send it to Lance for the wheel, but any closing comments you guys want to?
Oh, we really appreciate you having us.
Yeah.
It's been great.
It's been awesome.
Yeah.
A fun 30 minutes.
Listen, it goes by fast.
I was about to say, maybe 30 more. I don't know.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for coming today. Lance, I'm going to pass it over to you. Please go ahead and tell us who our winner was today.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead. They see the wheel behind your head right now, and I'm going to go ahead and spin the wheel, and we'll find out who the winner is. You can go ahead and announce it, Justin, once you see it.
All right. It looks like we are landing on Harvey E. You are the winner.
Congratulations, Harvey.
Yes, congratulations. And we will be in contact with the gift. So, Checkpoint team, thank you for coming. Tony, he's behind the camera. He's our contact with Checkpoint. Thank you for coming today. And as always, Lance, thanks for producing, and we'll talk soon.